Hello there. Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're watching this video. But as I'm recording it, it is morning, so good morning. Thank you so much for coming to practice today. My name is Melaminah. I will be guiding you through a gentle practice today. Today we're going to focus on balance. There is so much going on in the world, and it feels like everything is out of balance, and you might be feeling that in your internal world as well. And especially recently, it seemed like things were starting to shift a little bit back towards normal, and now things are starting to close down again as more COVID cases are breaking out. So it can feel really unsteady. The things that are going on around us in our external world. And that can sometimes cause disruption or unsteadiness or unbalance in our internal world. So let's take a few moments to focus on that today. And we will start in a comfortable seated position today. So just a quick note about props. If you want to grab props, if you have yoga props, great, you can grab them. If not, we can have some substitutes as well. So you might want to grab a yoga strap or maybe a belt. Might be handy later. And if you like to use yoga bricks when you're in the studio, you can grab those. If you don't have bricks, really thick books. Just make sure they're really, really thick so they're nice and stable when you put a little bit of your weight on them, but you can grab a couple of really thick books and those can be helpful as well. If you'd like to sit up on something, maybe grab a blanket, elevate the hips a little bit, and either legs crossed or we can have the legs extended, whatever allows the spine to be nice and tall. So choosing for ourselves what feels best. And as always, when we're in our yoga practice, we'll listen into our own body. Please only do what feels best in your body in this moment right here, right now. So we'll start by finding a comfortable seated position, softening the eyes. Sitting tall with a straight spine, tucking the chin in and back ever so slightly so that we stay long in the back of the neck. And then let's take a big breath in through the nose. Open mouth exhale and roll the shoulders back and down. Knitting the bottom ribs slightly in. And on the next exhale, inviting a gentle release, a softening into the surface below. Sinking into the support that the ground is offering. We can rest our hands on our thighs. Palms down is a little more grounded, or palms up is a bit more receptive. So choosing the hand gesture that feels best for you today. And then let's slide the elbows back just a little bit so that they dangle freely underneath the shoulders, encouraging the shoulders to release even more. And then turning the awareness to our breath. For the next few moments, just simply observing the inhale and the exhale. Noticing how the breath feels as it travels through the body. And just observing any qualities of the breath that we may notice. Maybe noticing the length of the inhale, the length of the exhale. Maybe feeling the temperature of the breath through the nostrils. The gentle coolness as we inhale, the slight warmth as we exhale. And as we sit here with the breath, without altering the breath, just simply observing and noticing the breath. We'll talk a little bit about balance. Oftentimes, we think that balance should be equal all the time. So as the breath, for example, we often think that the inhale and the exhale must be exactly the same length in order to achieve balance. If we think of balance in one moment, then that may be true, but if we think of balance over a longer period of time, there's a little bit more grace and forgiveness. Balance comes in cycles. So maybe if we take the length of our day, we might notice that maybe the beginning of the day is super busy, but as the day goes on and we get into the evening, we can slow down and relax, bringing balance to the day itself. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we move through our practice, but for now, let's just be with 2 more cycles of our own breath. And at the bottom of that second exhale, let's bow the chin towards the chest, breathing into the back of the neck. If you feel called, you can create an intention for practice today. Maybe there's something that we'd like to call more of into our lives, or maybe there's something we're ready to release. Maybe honoring and celebrating that in this moment, dedicating our practice to it. And when we feel complete with that, let's start to bring some gentle movement to the head and neck. So just rocking our head from side to side, moving in nice, slow movements. The slower we go, the more sensation we're able to be aware of. So just back and forth, right to left a couple of times, knowing that we can pause in any places that might need a little bit of extra attention, extra TLC. Good. The next time the right ear comes over the right shoulder, let's just pause there for a moment. Breathing into the left side of the neck, letting the shoulders be soft away from the ears. If we want more, we can interlace our hands behind our back, hugging the wrists together. Let's keep a deep bend in the elbows and then start to roll the shoulders back, drawing the elbows together. Breathing into that left side, and if we want even more, we can slide the hands over towards the right hip, pinning the right elbow back, deepening into that left side. Nice, full, deep cycles of breath. Noticing what you notice, feeling what you feel. Good, and then let's go ahead and release. We'll sweep our chin towards the middle and just pause for a moment. Notice the sensations on the right side, the sensations on the left. Seeing if there is a sense of balance or not. We've only worked one side, so sometimes there might be a difference in sensations, just noticing without judgment. And then let's slide the left ear over towards the left shoulder, just letting the head drip towards the shoulder. This is Gracie. Gracie says hi, our yoga mascot, one of. And then when we're ready, we'll interlace our hands our second favorite way behind the back. Drawing the elbows towards each other, shoulders down and away, and then maybe we slide the hands over towards the left hip, deepening into sensation on the right side. Eyes might be opened or closed as we tune in towards our inner world, inviting balance from the inside out. And then we'll release the hands. Let's bring the chin back to center. And on an inhale, we'll bring the head to neutral, blinking the eyes open. So if we've been sitting cross-legged, let's lean back slightly, switch the cross of our legs, and inhale, sweeping the arms up. On the exhale, we'll take a nice twist over to the left side, left hand behind us like a little kickstand, right hand outside our right knee or leg, swiveling our head so that we're looking out over the left shoulder, breathing here. And then let's inhale, sweeping the arms up. On the exhale, left hand to the mat. Let's lean over towards that left side. Nice big side bend here. So this is a gentle practice, but please do what feels good in your body today. Inhaling, arms up. And on the exhale, we'll twist over to the right side. Left hand outside the right knee, right hand behind us. Always tuning in, listening to our own body. You are your own best guide. I'm just here to offer suggestions. And then we'll inhale back to center. Let's exhale the right hand down, take a nice big bend over towards that right side, anchoring the left sitting bone into the earth. Nice big side stretch here for one more breath. And then inhaling, coming back up. Let's bring the palms together, exhaling, hands back down to our heart center. Good. Let's transition. We'll make our way into all fours on our mat. So if we need extra padding underneath our knees, we can grab a blanket or something, or even roll up the yoga mat. Placing the hands directly underneath the shoulders, the knees underneath the hips. Let's spread the fingers nice and wide, pressing all four corners of the palm into the earth, feeling the belly lifting up slightly so we have a nice long neutral spine. And then from here, let's explore cat and cow. So on an inhale, we'll sink the belly down, lifting the heart, lifting the tail, widening across the collarbones. Exhaling, rounding the spine, tucking the chin towards chest as we scoop the tailbone under. Let's just do that a few more times. Inhaling to open the front of the body. Exhaling, opening up the back of the body. So encouraging some balance in our spine here through flexion and extension, moving the spine in opposite directions. We'll practice today balancing yin and yang energy. So yin is that calm, still, restful, often creative, divine feminine energy. Yang or yang is masculine, energetic, lively, active energy. So seeing if we can find both of those in our yoga practice today. We'll do one more round of cat and cow. This is yang energy, moving the body. And then let's bring the big toes together at the back of the mat, widening the knees, sitting the hips back towards the heels, making our way into child's pose for some yin energy. Just resting here in our child's pose for a moment. To make it even more restful, we might take our arms by our sides with our hands by our feet. And just pausing here. So in our yoga practice, it's important that we balance movement with rest. If at any time we need a break in our practice, we can always come back to child's pose. At any time, we never need an invitation to come here. When we're ready, let's extend the arms forward. We'll make our way back into all fours for a moment. And let's find a spinal balance. So we'll extend the right leg back behind us. Let's start with the toes on the floor. Spreading the toes wildly, scooping the tailbone under, and then let's just release the heel towards the mat for a moment. We should be hopefully feeling a nice big stretch in our calf muscle. So just stretching that out for a moment, starting to engage the glute, squeezing the thigh into the bone. And then let's keep that action, continuing to squeeze skin to muscle, muscle to bone, floating the toes up off of the floor. And we'll take the left hand out in front of us. Spinal balance. So continuing to lift the belly button towards the spine. And then seeing if we can create even distribution of the weight between the hand that's on the floor and the knee that's on the floor. And then just to play with our balance a little bit, let's take the arm and the leg out to the side and just kind of surf here for a moment. Just see what this does by taking the limbs out towards the sides of the body. We might notice a little shaking, a little wobbling, that's okay. And then let's extend forward one more time. And both hands to the mat, both knees to the mat. If downward facing dog is in our practice, let's move there for a moment. Otherwise, we can find child's pose again. For down dog, we'll curl the toes under, lift the hips into the sky, and just pause here for a breath. Inhaling, lifting the heels up, exhaling, melting the heels towards the floor. Maybe a deep bend in the knees to start with. We're still pretty early in our practice. We'll be here for one more cycle of breath. Good. And then let's return the knees back down to the earth. And just notice here, notice the right side, the left side. And then let's find that balance on the second side. So we'll take the left leg out towards the space behind us, curling the toes under. Let's scoop the tailbone We'll just be here for a breath or two, maybe even gently rocking back and forth, breathing into the lower leg, that calf muscle especially. Sometimes that's a hard muscle to isolate, so just enjoying this stretch for a moment. And then let's activate that leg, hugging skin to muscle, muscle to bone, lifting the left toes off of the earth, extending the right arm forward. Let's see if we can get the bicep of the right hand right by our ear. So lifting that arm up and out, belly in and up, spreading the fingers, spreading the toes, pressing out through the bottom of the foot, spinning the pinky down towards the mat, continuing to breathe. Just noticing any shaking or vibrating here, any balance checks. This is all normal. And then we'll mess it up a little bit. So let's take the left leg out, the right arm out. Just notice what happens when we do that. Maybe nothing, maybe a lot of movement. There's no right or wrong. Good, and then we'll extend the limbs back forward and behind us again, and then both hands down, both knees down. Let's make our way back into child's pose, or downward dog is an option. We'll all meet up in child's pose. Let's bring our forehead towards the earth, extending the arms forward. We can rock the head gently from side to side, massaging the skin across the forehead, releasing any stress or tension here. Maybe even opening and closing the jaw a few times, stretching out those strong jaw muscles that can hold on to tension as well. Good, let's take an inhale to come back to our all fours, and we'll come to standing on our knees. So this is another place where if we need padding underneath the knees, we can grab it. Let's extend the left leg out to the side, toes facing the long edge of the mat. So nice long leg here, hands on our hips. Let's gently press the hips forward. We can start to feel the glutes engage here a little bit. Inhaling, lifting the right hand up, and then exhaling, taking a big side bend over towards that left side. Let's draw the shoulder back a little bit, opening the heart. Left hand can stay on the hip, or it can slide down to our thigh, or maybe even below the knee, just not right on the knee itself, somewhere above or below the knee. Let's continue to press the outer edge, the pinky toe side edge, into the earth. Nice big stretch on the right side of the body here, all the way from the knee to the tips of our fingers. We might even feel a little bit of lengthening of the inner thigh here on the left leg as well. Full deep cycles of breath. Let's see how smooth and even we can keep our breathing. And then let's inhale, making our way all the way back up to center. Now here's a great place or time for us to grab a brick or a book if we'd like. If we don't need one, that's okay too. But we can take the brick over to our right side. We'll extend the right arm up again, and then exhale, let's cartwheel the hand down to either the brick or the floor, and we can change the setting on the brick or book. And from here, we'll press the hips forward, rolling the top shoulder back and down. And then with this right shoulder, let's make sure we're pressing the hand into the earth, lifting up and out of this shoulder across the collarbones. For more, we can take the left leg off of the mat and just seeing how this toys with our balance here. So nice core strength, core center hugging in to keep us in place. Maybe we even take our left arm into the sky. We can look up towards the ceiling or forward or down, whatever feels best for our neck. Nice full deep cycles of breath here, spreading the fingers, spreading the toes, lifting up through the inner thigh towards the sky. Good work. If we want more, we can bend the top knee. Maybe we catch our foot with our hand. Let's press the hips forward, press the heart forward, feel the shoulder blades squeezing together, and then inviting the head to be an extension of the rest of the spine. Good. Noticing what this does to our balance here in kneeling, balancing half moon variation. For one more breath. Good. When we're complete with that breath, let's release the foot if we've got it. We'll return our leg to the mat, come all the way back up to standing, and we'll bring our hands to the earth. Let's keep the left leg out to the left side, and we'll just do a little bit of cat and cow action here with that leg extended. Spreading the fingers, pressing the fingers into the earth, activating the hands. Good. And then from here, let's return the leg back to center. We'll come to standing on our knees once again. Let's bring the hands on the hips. Just close the eyes for a moment and notice the right side, the left side. Not in any way of making one side better or worse than the other, but just simply comparing without judgment, just noticing. Then we'll blink the eyes open. And if we've got that brick or book, we can move it over to the other side. We might need it or want it. From here, extending the right leg out to the side, let's spread the toes, facing the toes towards the long edge of the mat, and then gluing the pinky toe side edge down into the floor. When we do that, let's also start to feel a lifting feeling of the inner arch, letting that lift come all the way up the inseam of our leg into the groin, shoulders back and down, and then inhaling, left arm into the sky. On our exhale, let's dive over towards that right side. So whatever we did with our hand on the first side, we can do so on the second side. Maintaining our connection to the earth with the left knee, so anchoring down. And then from there, lifting up and out of the waistline, rolling that top shoulder open just a little bit more, spinning the heart towards the ceiling. And even in this pose, where can we balance work with release? So we're working here a lot, right? There's a lot going on, especially around our waistline. And where can we soften? Where can we find one place in the body to let go just a little? Maybe it's softening the fingers or softening the eyes or the jaw. And then let's inhale, coming all the way back up. On the exhale, we'll cartwheel our hand back down to the mat or a brick or book. Pressing the hips forward once again, feeling the glutes engage here, and then squeezing skin to muscle, muscle to bone, lifting the right leg away from the earth. Outer hip working here, inner thigh working, spreading the toes, pressing through the ball and the heel. Maybe the right arm reaches into the sky. Maybe the gaze goes with it. Or to be more gentle on the neck, we can look down or even straight ahead. Noticing the balance in the body here, noticing the core engagement that it takes to hold ourselves steady. And then let's bend the knee if we did that on the first side, maybe catching the foot or maybe just pretending like we touched the foot. This is an option too. Eventually one day we may surprise ourselves and actually touch, but that's not really necessary either. If that knee is bent, let's see if we can keep the inner thigh parallel to the ground. Sometimes when we bend the knee, it kind of does weird angles, but let's see if we can keep it parallel to the earth today. Opening the heart, pressing the foot into the hand as we create a bit of a back bend here and breathing. Shaking, wobbly, all good sensations. Every time we shake, every time we wiggle and wobble, we're building that sense of balance. We're building muscle, we're building strength. Let's release the foot if we've got it. And then foot to ground, inhaling, let's come all the way back up. Hands to the earth. And we'll just take a couple of rounds of cat and cow here. Moving the spine around a little bit. All right, good work. Let's bring the knees back together. We'll come to standing on our knees for a moment. And let's just do a slight back bend. We've warmed the back up a little bit with some cat and cow. And if we did that variation, the kneeling, balancing, half moon variation, we did a little bit of a back bend there as well. So we're gonna come into camel pose. We've got lots of options here. Let's start with the knees underneath the hips. We'll bring our hands into fists and let the fists rest on our sacrum. From here, let's roll the shoulders down and then start to hug the elbows towards each other. Notice that just that little action already starts to create a lift in the heart. From here, we're gonna press the hips forward, but keep lifting the heart. So where we go wrong in back bends is when we crash into our low back. So in order to prevent that, we're gonna strengthen the glutes. So squeeze the glutes, turn them on, hug the elbows towards each other, feel the heart lifting, keep the heart lifting towards the sky, and start to gently press the hips forward. Good. Breathing here, camel pose. And then let's exhale and release. So counterbalancing that back bend with a child's pose. We can stack our fists, resting our forehead on our fists, maybe rocking gently from side to side or staying in stillness. Sending the breath into the low back, that place that we just made strong as we were opening our hearts. We're here for 2 more cycles of breath. Good. Let's go ahead and make our way into all fours once again. We're gonna come up into a standing position. So if downward facing dog is in your practice, we're gonna go through down dog. If you prefer not to practice downward dog for any reason, just please come into a standing position in whatever way makes the most sense to you and your body. If we're going through down dog, let's curl the toes under. Big breath here, inhaling. On the exhale, lifting the hips into the sky, making our way into downward facing dog. Let's bend the knees, scoop the tail, and take the hips even higher. We'll press the hands forward and down, encouraging the heart backwards towards our thighs. We'll keep the knees bent today. And then maybe we bend one knee at a time, releasing opposite heel down to the earth, just stretching into the back of the leg here. Good. And then let's lift both heels, knees nice and bent, looking forward towards the front of our hands, and then walking, taking as many steps as we need to make our way into forward fold. Soft knees, letting our head dangle down towards the earth. We can have our hands on the mat, on bricks, or maybe even on our hips. Let's lean slightly forward so that we feel our sitting bones stacking over our heels. It kind of feels like we're rocking the weight slightly towards the ball of the foot, towards the toes. And then let's get really strong in the legs. So spreading the toes, pressing the outer edges of the foot into the earth, the inner edges of the foot into the earth. Strong legs, inhaling, pressing our way all the way up to standing. Releasing the hands, making our way into mountain pose for a moment. Eyes can be opened or closed. Anytime I come into come out of a forward fold, I get lightheaded. So that's my body's way of being out of balance for a moment. So just taking a moment to come back into equilibrium. Our body will do it naturally. And if that happens for you too, just notice that that's normal for some people. Alrighty, let's find a standing balancing pose. So we're going to explore tree pose today. Let's start with our feet about hips width apart. We'll take the feet parallel to each other, inviting the toes to face forward, rolling the shoulders back and down, palms facing forward as the arms come down to our sides. Just pausing here in a moment, for a moment, to feel how we're standing. So maybe we're favoring one foot or the other, maybe we're favoring the toes versus the heels. Just explore that for a moment. Notice where the weight tends to go all on its own. And then let's create small little circles, shifting the weight to different spots of our foot, and then we'll go the other way. Just notice how the weight shifting changes our balance. And then eventually we'll make our way right towards the center. So right in the middle, where the weight is evenly distributed. Nice long spine, crown reaching, tail plummeting towards the earth. And then we'll shift the weight slightly towards the right foot. Let's come up onto the ball of the left foot. We'll turn the knee open and notice what's happening in this right hip here. Sometimes when we take this action of turning the knee out, we kind of collapse into this hip. So if that's happening for you, that's okay, just notice it. And then hug that hip in towards the midline, grow tall in the spine. We'll bring our hands together to our heart space. And maybe this is our pose today. Maybe we stay right here. If we want more, we can bring the foot below the knee. If it's available, we can bring the foot up above the knee. And then pressing the standing leg into the foot just as much as the foot is pressing into that leg. So finding that balance at those touch points. And then let's take our gaze way out towards the wall in front of us, finding a drishti, one spot as a focal point to look at. If we'd like, we can extend our branches into the sky, softening the shoulders down the back, and breathing here. Might be a windy day, that's okay. Just being with it. And then let's bring the hands back down to our heart space and returning our foot back down to the earth as gracefully as we got into the pose. Let's just pause. We'll bring our hands to our sides, softening the eyes for a moment, noticing the sensations in the right side, the sensations in the left. And being aware that balancing is a series of motions. We might have felt really big movements, or maybe we felt just little teeny tiny corrections that might have been happening in our ankle. And then we'll blink the eyes open and explore tree pose on the second side. So first, starting in mountain, balanced equal weight on both sides, front and back, and right to left. And then we'll shift the weight purposefully over to the left foot. Let's send that left foot into the earth, growing tall through the crown of the head as we come up onto the ball of the right foot and turn that right knee out. Good. The toes on the floor continue to face forward. And then if we want more, we can bring the foot below the knee or maybe up above. Sides might be different, so honoring that. Trying to do the same thing we did on the first side, but if we can't for whatever reason, that's okay too. Honoring where we are today, hands to heart center if they're not there already. And then when we're ready, extending branches into the clouds, finding that drishti, that focal point. One spot to rest our eyes on that's not moving. And just noticing what we notice as we balance. Every little wiggle making us stronger. Every time we fall to one side or another, we're teaching our brain where balance is for us. And let's see if we can let go of any judgment or expectation around what our experience should be like. And then we'll return the hands back down to our heart space, and as gently as we can, releasing the right foot back down to the mat. Good. Let's pause for a moment in mountain pose, closing the eyes. Breathing here. And when we're ready, let's blink the eyes open. Good work. Beautiful, beautiful job. Okay, my friends. Let's do one more balancing posture. Well, sorry, one more standing posture. We're gonna come into warrior two. So let's take the feet nice and wide. We'll turn the right toes towards the right side. Let's turn the left toes in, kicking the heel out a little bit. So this left hip, this left thigh is gonna spin in. Good. From there, we'll start with the legs straight, hands on our hips. So notice that this left hip is most likely raised up. We're just gonna straighten it out so that we're level to the floor. Keeping that big inhale, exhaling, bending into the right knee. Good, we can make adjustments with the feet if we need to. So always able to adjust in our poses in our practice. Let's peel the right knee open towards our pinky toe so that when we look down, we can see our big toe. This left hip still recedes towards the earth, lifting slightly on the right hip. And then let's bring the arms up to shoulder level. If for whatever reason we're protecting our shoulders a little bit, I was recently tending to an injury in my shoulder, we can take the arms higher and then plug the shoulders in from here. And that just takes a little bit of the weight out of the shoulders. So choosing whatever arm height works best for us today. Let's take a big inhale, lifting through the crown of the head, and then exhaling, deepening into the legs. Gazing out over the right fingertips. Full deep cycles of breath. Good. So here's another place where we can practice balancing effort with effortlessness. Noticing how hard our body is working here and then finding places where we can soften. Can we soften the shoulders, the eyes, maybe even the hair, letting the hair soften. Let's release our left hand down. We'll tip back, right arm into the sky, reverse warrior. Deep bend remains in that front knee as we lift up and out of our waistline. And then let's inhale back to warrior two. Releasing the arms, releasing the legs. Let's take a moment in the center. So turning all 10 toes towards the long edge of our mat, hands on our hips, hugging the elbows in and back, feeling the heart lift, exhaling, hinging at our hip crease as we dive down towards the mat. Maybe hands come to bricks or books. Maybe our hands come to the floor. Maybe we're resting our hands on a coffee table or the edge of the couch, whatever's available. Gluing the outer edges of the foot into the floor, feeling that lift through the inner arch. So finding balance here, even in the legs. Outer leg activated, inner leg activated, hugging in towards the middle of the body. Nice long flat spine, so let's scoop the tail under. Last breath here. Good, and then when we're ready, we'll float the hands to the hips once again. Inhale, lifting all the way back up. Beautiful job. Let's find warrior two on the second side. So we'll turn the left toes out, right toes slightly in, kicking the heel back behind us. Peeling the left knee open towards the pinky toe, let's anchor the right hip down, left hip up, just so that we're level to the floor. So we've got equal length on the sides of the body. Inhaling, arms up, looking out over the left fingertips. And then if we need that arm variation, we can find it here as well. Taking the arms a little higher, plugging the shoulders into the sockets, no matter where our arms are in space. Deepening into that front knee. From the waist down, we're anchored, digging our weight into the floor. From the waist up, feeling light and lifted. So again, balancing those two sensations within our body. And then let's release the right hand down. We'll lift up on the left arm, the left side, tipping back, reverse warrior. Gaze might be up, or maybe even straight ahead if that feels better for the neck. And then let's inhale back to center. Good work. We'll turn all 10 toes towards the long edge of the mat once again, and then either heel toes, or we can jump the feet back together. Let's just pause in mountain for a moment. Eyes closed, checking in, noticing the breath, re-establishing the breath if it got away from us, smoothing out the inhales, smoothing out the exhales. And then we'll blink the eyes open. Let's make our way into a seated position on the mat. Okay. In a seated position on the mat, let's bend the knees. We'll hold behind the legs to support the knee joint. Rolling the shoulders back and down, engaging our belly button, nice strong core. Leaning back slightly so that we can float the feet away from the mat, coming into boat pose. So core strengthening here, another balancing posture. This time we're balancing on a different part of our body. Spreading the toes, pressing through the ball and the heel. We're here for one more breath. Good, let's go ahead and return the feet down to the earth, and we'll give ourselves a big hug. Good, let's go ahead and come out of the pose, or out of our hug, and we'll come back into boat pose once again. So shoulders down, heart lifting. Rocking up onto our tippy toes and then lifting the feet away from the floor. Let's keep hugging the legs in towards each other. If we'd like, we can start to straighten the legs. Maybe we notice some shaking, some vibrating of the muscles here. Maybe we practice letting go so we can bend the knees and let go with our hands. Finding that balance here for one more breath. Good, and then holding behind the legs, returning the feet back down to the floor. Let's give ourselves a big hug. So balancing all of that activity, all of that effort with a gentle hug and release of effort. Just softening in. And then one more time, whatever variation we'd like, holding behind the legs, shoulders down, heart lifting. Feet lifting up, legs hugging in. Maybe we extend the legs. Maybe we let go. Maybe we let go and extend. Or my personal favorite, first two fingers around the big toes. Taking the feet away from each other for a wide leg boat pose. This one can get really roly-poly, so we have to keep lifting the heart, keep plugging the shoulders down towards the floor, pressing out through the feet. Lots of core strength here. Really good practice for balance. We're here, wherever here is, for one more breath. Good, and then we'll bring the legs back together if they were wide and return the feet to the floor. Let's give ourselves a big hug. So once again, balancing all of that effort with effortlessness and release. Also balancing an externally focused pose with turning our awareness inward. Good. Let's go ahead and hold on behind one leg, rolling onto our spine. Hugging our knees in towards our chest, we can rock gently from side to side. Here's a great place for that strap if we have one. We don't have to have one, but if we have it, we can grab it. Let's bring our right foot to the floor. Extending, we'll loop the strap around the heel of our left foot and extend that leg into the sky. So right around the heel today, so that we can stack the joints. And then let's see if we can roll the shoulder blades under a little bit more and soften the arms. So oftentimes when we hold on to the strap, we end up gripping on for dear life. We end up white knuckling it. So let's see if we can relax the shoulders, relax the arms, and just apply gentle pressure, just enough to keep that leg extended towards the ceiling. Let's spread the toes, activating that leg. If we'd like, we can extend the right leg forward as well, spreading the toes on both feet, pressing through the ball and the heel, as if we were going to walk on the ceiling and as if we were going to press the wall in front of us away. Nice, full, deep cycles of breath. Let's transfer both ends of the strap into the left hand. We'll rest our right hand on our right thigh. This is a reminder for this right side of the body to stay down, connected to the earth. Inhaling here, exhaling, starting to take the left leg out towards the left side. Let's keep the foot active. And we'll continue to hold on to the strap. We can rest our elbow on the floor or a brick if we'd like. If we need more here, rather than going farther out, let's draw the leg backwards towards our shoulder. That way we can keep the right hip down on the floor as we lengthen through the left leg. Inhaling back to center. If we want to keep the strap, we can. I'm gonna remove my strap and we'll bump the hips over towards the left, taking the left leg across the body for a nice big twist. Stacking the hips, melting the shoulders towards the floor, maybe looking out over the left fingertips. This left leg can be straight if we'd like, or we can bend the knee. Bent knee is a little more gentle. So just seeing what we need in this moment. Let's take an inhale to make our way back to center. We'll bring both feet down to the mat. Let's roll the shoulders underneath us. Just pause for a moment. Notice the right side, notice the left side. Notice where we feel sensation. And then let's bring the hands to the floor. We'll roll the shoulders under. Inhaling, pressing through the arms, pressing through the feet, lifting up into bridge pose. So let's keep scooping the tail, drawing the knees forward, hugging the knees in towards each other, gently pressing the back of the head into the earth. One more breath here. And then exhaling, softening all the way down. Good. We can hug our knees in towards our chest. And then we'll switch legs. So maybe we start with the left foot on the floor, right leg in the sky. We'll take the strap around the heel of our right foot. And just as a reminder, we don't have to have a strap. We could just hold on behind the back of the leg or behind the back of the calf muscle. But if we have a strap and want to use it, we can. Let's plug the hip, the right hip, down towards the earth, continuing to press the right foot towards the sky, spreading the toes. Nice big opening for the back of the leg here. And if we chose to extend the bottom leg on the first side, we can do so here as well. Extending the left leg towards the wall in front, actively reaching the feet away from each other. And then let's transfer both ends of the strap into the right hand, left hand resting on our thigh, and then starting to take that leg open towards the right side. Let's go slowly today so that we can really dial in where our perfect spot is in this moment. So sometimes when we go really fast, we end up rolling over to that side and we miss a lot of the benefit of this pose. When we stay anchored on the opposite side of the body, we can really open up into that hamstring. We can really open up into the inner thigh muscle. So taking our time to get into the pose. Even that is a balance, right? So often we rush into something. So instead, let's balance that tendency to rush with slow, steady, intentional movement. And then we'll inhale, bringing the leg back to center. We can keep the strap if we want and go into our twist with a straight leg. Otherwise, we can bend the knee as we take the right leg across the body. Let's stack the hips, melt the shoulders towards the floor, maybe even looking out over the right fingertips. Just letting the body wring itself out. And then inhaling, we'll make our way all the way back to center. Let's bring the bottoms of our feet together for butterfly pose. Just letting the knees gently fall towards the earth. We can rest our hands anywhere on the thighs or maybe our belly, or we can have the hands by our sides. Let's roll the shoulder blades under a little bit more and we'll soften the eyes. Let's shift the awareness once again to the breath. Breathing in and out through the nose. And here we'll invite equal ratio breathing. So on our inhale, maybe counting up to about 4. Noticing the pause at the top of the breath and then exhaling for that same count of 4. Notice the bottom pause at the bottom of the breath and then inhaling once again for a count of 4. And then a gentle exhale for a count of 4. If counting isn't our jam, we can instead say to ourselves, I breathe in. And on the exhale, I breathe out. I breathe in. I breathe out. Let's just do that for a few more rounds. A nice, slow, steady, equal ratio breathing, equal ratio breath, where the inhale and the exhale are the same length, bringing about a calmness to the nervous system, soothing the mind, inviting the body to relax. If you'd like to keep the bottom of your feet together for Shavasana, please do. Otherwise, if you'd like, whenever you're ready, extending the legs out towards the wall in front, letting the feet flop open to the corners of the mat, rolling the shoulder blades under, spinning the palms towards the sky. If you're still counting the breath, we can release that now as we softly surrender into Shavasana, our final resting pose, the ultimate balance between movement and rest. Yoga allows you to rediscover a sense of wholeness in your life, where you do not feel like you are constantly trying to fit broken pieces together. If you would like to remain in Shavasana, please do. Otherwise, if you're ready to end your practice, please begin to deepen the breath. When you're ready for more, whispering gentle movement into fingers and toes, maybe even taking the arms overhead, the feet forward for a full body stretch. Letting the low back arch away from the earth, waking up out of your practice. And then bending both knees, gently rolling to one side. Let's pause here for a breath. Once again, checking in with our internal world to notice if there have been any shifts or changes, any transformation from the beginning of our practice until now. With as little effort as possible, let's make our way back up into seated. Softening the eyes once again, let's unite the hands together in front of our heart space. With equal effort, pressing the right hand into the left into the right, finding balance right here at our heart. Bowing the chin towards the chest in a symbol of gratitude for this opportunity to move our bodies, to be on our mat, to practice in a different version of community. May our yoga practice be an opportunity for us to cultivate a deeper sense of balance in our mind, body, and soul. Thank you so much for coming to practice today. Thank you for practicing yoga. Namaste. Thank you so much for coming to practice. My name is Melaminah. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or interpretive dances, you can leave a comment in the at the bottom of this video, or you can reach me via my website at melaminah.com. And if you wanted to leave a donation for this practice today, you can do so as well, also on my website, melaminah.com. There's a donate button in the top right-hand corner. You can just go there and leave whatever feels good for you. Hope to see you again soon. Thanks so much.